to the Library of Alexandria. And today, welcome to what very well may be my villain origin story. I've been driven deep underground by Dr. Fantasy, Philip Chase, and his minimalist allies. They came without warning. They stormed into my house, saw that I had significantly more than 4 books, and they took them all of them. And then he pointedly looked at me and said, "I don't have a TV, so you don't have a TV." And he smashed my television. Hey! I barely escaped. I fled. I don't know where my wife is. I don't know where my cats are. I'm in my underground hideout currently, isolated from all of my friends, my family, the entire community. The Doctor's allies try to lure me out by reading things that they know I would like, but not including me, hoping that my outrage will cause my head to pop up above ground where I can be snuffed out for all time. But I know what they're trying to do. So instead, the only thing I can do is have my own allies smuggle in arcane knowledge through whatever tome they can find that I can hopefully pore over extremely slowly, maybe 2, maybe 3 a month, until I can find the key to bringing down the tyranny of Dr. Fantasy. Yes, you may have heard that the world above ground is a utopia underneath the good doctor's benevolent rule, but no. Chaos will reign when I make my return. So without wasting any more time,
I can't believe it's not bother.
this is part whatever the thumbnail said it was of the book haul that never ended. So let's talk about which books mine own allies smuggled into me and which one of these might contain the key to toppling the plans of my enemies. So we've got Boosh, Colleen McCullough's First Man in Rome. So this is the first of her, Caesar series, I think it is. I don't know what series it is, but it is a monster, this thing right here. And I don't know if there's 7 or 8 books. First Man in Rome, Grass Trout, maybe 5 books. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, it ends with Caesar. This book is 1,000 pages, and it is mostly about Marius and Sulla, and I guess Caesar growing up as a young man in Marius and Sulla's time, which, if you don't know, is extremely bloody. It was in the 1st century BC, and all of a sudden, no one obeys the constitutional rules at all, and armies are more loyal to generals than they are the state, and Rome is being marched on by Romans for the first time in history, and it's just absolute madness. And I have heard that this is one of the more thorough historical fictions. Colleen McCullough's here because it's so, huge, and I have just heard this is really good. I actually have a former student who is reading this currently and likes it. So yeah, from what I understand, this is the premier Julius Caesar historical fiction just because of its thoroughness and its verisimilitude with, what actually happens in Rome. A lot of the conversations are invented and everything, but the actual recreation of Rome itself as a place and a character in and of itself is supposed to be top-notch. I have heard that it is long-winded, as you can tell, and that, there's a bunch of different threads that you have to keep track of, but I am really excited to read this once I jump into this classical historical fiction stuff about the classical era that I have acquired a bunch of books for. Next we have Boosh, Augustus, or Augustus, by John Williams. I am currently actually listening to Stoner by John Williams on audio because I heard it was good, and it is. It's quite good. I actually really like John Williams' writing style, and this, I didn't think it would. I was like, surely this guy who wrote this book called Stoner about some schlub of a English professor in World War I didn't write something about Romans. Sometimes things will have titles that have nothing to do with actual what you think it is. No, this is indeed an autobiography, written in the style kind of of I, Claudius, what Robert Graves did for Claudius. And it's epistolary, which I freaking love. And this is about the life and times of Augustus. This was sent to me very kindly by Evie, always my stalwart ally. And I'm hoping to actually buddy read this with her and a couple other people who had this. But I am actually really excited because I do really like John Williams' writing style. And I also love Augustus. And it fits that, classical subject historical fiction that I am super keen on right now. So thank you, Evie, for doing your part, for the cause. Next up, we've got Boosh, the Sacrilege, Boosh, Temple of the Muses, books 3 and 4 of the SPQR series by John Maddox Roberts. So these books are fun detective novels about Quintus Decius Metellus, he is an administrator in Rome who solves mysteries, and it's all happening during the 1st century BC. So you see Cicero and Pompey and Pulcher and all of these other figures, and Caesar, all of these other figures that are in that larger-than-life time period, and these are super fun. Like, none of them are fantastic as far as plot is concerned. Some of the mysteries are, okay. Like the second one, the Catilinarian Conspiracy, is literally just what I was talking about with Cicero. It's just dealing with Catiline, and I know how that ends. So there wasn't really a mystery with the Catilinarian one, like if you know history. So, spoiler alert. But I read these because the freaking cultural aspects, the stuff they talk about, like in Rome and the Roman customs and festivals and religion and stuff like that, it's a really good and accurate resource of how that stuff actually was. Like, I need to get my kids who study customs for the Latin competition to read these books, because they're also really memorable in the way it presents its information, because it's part of a narrative. So if you are interested in ancient Rome as a place and want a cool story, and these are less than 300 pages, all of them, that takes place in that time period, and if you like detective novels, the weird thing is that many Roman historical fiction novels are detective novels, and the other ones are just historical fiction about frickin' the 1st century BC and Caesar. But if any of that interests you, you definitely should pick these up. They are a quick read. Like, if you're a fast reader, you can finish in a day, easily. Me reading myself, I can finish it in 3 or 4 days, like, easily. So they are something that I just go to relax, see something cool that I like. They're also really easy to listen to on audio. John Lee does the narration, and he's fantastic. So I have those, and I'm hoping, again, lump them in with this historical fiction stuff. Next up, we have Boosh, The Gates of Rome by Con Eagledon, and this was sent to me very kindly for my birthday by Kate. And this one is also about Marius and Sulla. And this is Con Eagleton's Julius Caesar series, or Emperor series, and it also culminates in, Julius Caesar becoming dictator and whatever. And I have heard that this is not his best series, from at least the people I know that read Con Eagledon. They don't like this series as much as some of his other stuff, maybe? I don't know. But I love the 1st century BC, and, this is about something I literally just talked about. But I am excited to read Con Eagledon. I've not read anything by him, so I'll be delving into this as well pretty soon, though I am more interested in beginning with his ancient Greek historical novels. So thank you so much, Kate. Maybe our answer lies within here. Next up is Boosh, The Traitor God by Cameron Johnston, and I think this is book 1 of a trilogy, I think, and this was sent to me by my wonderful friend and ally, Zara, also for my birthday. So this is about a guy who returns home because he hasn't been home for like 10 years, and his friend had uncovered some secret and was skinned alive, and so his name was Eldritch Walker? No, Edrin Walker, but his last name's Walker. And he returns home to, find out what happened to his buddy. Magi, mortals, demons, and even the gods. Edrin Walker will burn them all if he has to. After all, it wouldn't be the first time he'd killed a god. Gasp! So apparently he's returning to a city of sorcerers. I've literally never heard anybody talk about this book, ever. I've never heard anything about this book. I've only seen it on Goodreads. So if you've read this book, is it any good? And does the secret lie within here? But this looks really cool. Hopefully I'll be able to get to this, before too long. Thank you, Zara. Next, we've got Boosh, the Expert Systems Brother and the Expert Systems Champion. These are both by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and these were both sent to me for my birthday by Winter Kate and Stephanie B. So thank you guys so much. So these are novellas by Adrian Tchaikovsky. They're, I guess, a novella duology, and I don't really know what that's about, and that's excellent. I love not knowing a ton about Tchaikovsky's novels, other than, the back of the book, which is exactly what happened with Ogres, and I loved Ogres. So I haven't read the back of the sequel, because that spoils stuff, I'm sure. So this is what the back of this one says. After an unfortunate accident, Handry is forced to wander a world he doesn't understand, searching for meaning. He soon discovers that the life he thought he knew is far stranger than he could ever possibly imagine. Can an unlikely savior provide the answers to the questions he barely comprehends? So I don't know what this is about, except there's a big old tree that looks like there's like a computer in it or something. So maybe the computer is the expert system, and he's his brother. I don't know. And then he becomes the champion. Who knows? But thank you guys so much. I love Tchaikovsky. I hope to read even more Tchaikovsky in the coming months. And his novellas, I'm probably going to wipe out the rest of his novellas before I actually continue with another series after I finish Shadows of the Out. Speaking of Tchaikovsky, Boosh, The Private Life of Elder Things, which is, and this was sent to me by my mentor who set me on this evil path many years ago, Jesse May. Thank you so much. So this is a short story collection of new and more modern stories within the Cthulhu Mythos, or the Lovecraftian mythos, which is, I love the Cthulhu Mythos, guys. Like, I love it. I love it so much. I don't know why. It just appeals to me with its, like, incredible wordiness and existential dread without being, you know, jump scary and stuff like that. I don't know. But Tchaikovsky writes, I think, half of the stories in here, and then there's some other writers as well. Oh, two other writers, Adam Gauntlet and Karis McDonald. So this is exciting. I actually am collecting some short story stuff. Paper Menagerie and this, as well as some other short story things that I have. So I think I'll be reading some short stories here pretty soon as just a way to feel like I've accomplished something and finished something. So thank you. Thank you so much, Jesse. These I love, because if you've heard me talk, I love the landmark editions of these ancient histories. And here I have both Xenophons, Boosh Anabasis, Boosh Hellenica. I love these so much. These are both by Xenophon. The landmark editions are so amazing. They have so many cross-references and maps and notes in the margin and footnotes. I love them so much. And these are from a period of history that I find really fascinating. The Anabasis is about Xenophon leading it's about the journey of the 10,000 Spartans to aid Cyrus the Younger in his fight for the throne against his older brother Artaxerxes II. And then when it doesn't work out, Xenophon has to lead the 10,000 Spartans out of a hostile Persia for hundreds of miles. And it is how they actually succeed in doing that. And this is the record of that quest and of that journey. And then the Hellenica picks up after. The Hellenica is a book that picks up after frickin' Thucydides, who stops the bloody Peloponnesian War after Arginocide. Like, one battle before the frickin' Peloponnesian War ends. He just stops it. And it's like, what are you doing, Thucydides? Maybe he died. I don't know. But Xenophon's Hellenica picks up after it and then covers the Corinthian War and the Spartan-Theban War with Epaminondas and Pelopidas, which is, just absolutely fascinating. So I got these, and I'll be reading these because I just, they're so cool. If you like ancient history, get the landmark editions. Next, Boosh, Lion of Macedon by David Gemmell. And this is from the commander of my guard, Katrina, for my birthday. Thank you so much. Now, this is the first of a duology by David Gemmell about the Macedonians and about Parmenion, which was Philip's favored general, and then the old general that Alexander constantly disagreed with because he didn't like the fact that he had to rely on this guy, because Alex didn't really want to rely on Philip's people, period, because he wanted to get out of his dad's shadow. It's very interesting. And so this is a historical fiction about that, about Parmenion as a young Parmenion, and how he grows up to become that great general. I have had this since March, and I've really, really wanted to read this series. Of Gemmell's stuff, this is the thing I want to read the most, because this is really the kind of the period that I'm teaching in history, in my history class right now. And I love Parmenion. I think Parmenion and Philip of Macedon are both fascinating figures. I don't like Alexander as much, but I definitely want to read this, and this is one of the things that they're using to lure me out, because they know how much I want to read this, and so it's win-win for them, because either they lure me out and drag me to their master, where I am assassinated and made a martyr for the cause, or they get to relentlessly mock me as they read it, knowing that I would enjoy it, laughing at me how they read it without me, saying, oh man, it's so good, if only you could have read it. They weaponize their mirth. So hopefully I'll be able to read this very soon, because very cool. Next we have Boosh, Seasons of Albedon by Christopher Warman and Elan Marché, which I hope I'm saying that correctly. And this is a self-published novel that was kindly sent to me by the author, and I know that Philip has read this, and several of my other friends have read this, and actually really enjoyed this. This is, let me read the back to you. An aspiring enchantress searches for a way to lift a terrible curse. A drunken father makes a dangerous wish. A foreman tilts the balance between nature and progress. A mother travels with her dying child in search of a healer. 4 paths merge, 4 destinies intertwine. And the book is divided into seasons. And so I think each season is a different one of those stories, which just sounds actually really cool. And the author must have been well aware that this is the year of the short novel, because this is 200 pages. That's it. It's not more. It is less than 200 pages. So I actually may be able to fit this one in pretty soon. But I've heard really good things about this, so I'm hoping to read this soon. Thank you so much for sending this to me. Next up, we've got Boosh, Killer of Men by Christian Cameron. And this is book 1. I think it's in the Killer of Men series, maybe. I don't know. I have never read Christian Cameron, so I hope to. Again, historical fiction, ancient Greek historical fiction. This takes place before Marathon. The main character's name is Nestos. I don't know if he is an Ionian, because it talks about being enslaved by the Persians, or if he's, I think it takes place over in Persia, where his battle is, I don't know if he fights against the Greeks. I don't really know. I know it says it will take him to Marathon, so I don't know if he is defending against the Persians, or if he is a Greek slave that is sent to fight the Athenians at Marathon, but that is the time period it takes place. The Ionians did rise into rebellion, and the Persians big cromped them. Darius said, I don't think so, and squashed them, and then invaded Greece. So I have heard that Christian Cameron is incredibly detailed and realistic in the way he portrays the details of ancient Greece. I don't know anyone who's read. Yes, I do. I know a couple people read this and have liked it as well. So I'm hoping to read this soon. I have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to Greek and Roman historical fiction. I am super pumped to actually be able to read some of it in the near future. I'm just going to knock out some series, and then it's going to be historical fiction all the way, baby. This was sent to me by my wonderful friend Theo, who is also on an ancient Greek historical fiction kick. Also sent to me by Theo is Boosh, Lord of the Silver Bow by David Gemmell. This is book 1 of his Troy series, which I have been told by the agents of the Minimalists how amazing this book is and how much I should read it. I imagine it is good. It's about the Trojan War. I don't like the fact that it spells friggin' Hector, but I do like the fact that it does take, it is about Aeneas and the Trojan War and a different perspective on that, because there's not a ton about the Trojan War, really, if you're outside the Iliad and the Odyssey. And then there's been a lot of stuff recently from of the women of Troy's perspective, and there's Aeschylus, Euripides, has the Women of Troy play, and any of the other Greek mythological historical retellings tend to be about Thermopylae or Marathon or that time period right there. There's so much less about the Peloponnesian War, which makes me sad, and not very much about the Trojan War itself. So I am really excited to read this one. I've been told how amazing it is, but I have not yet read it, and I really should. So thank you, Theo. I'm going to put, again, I think I want to read the Parmenian book by Gemmell first, but this is definitely high priority. Next, we've got Boosh, Con Eagledon's Gates of Athens. And this is book 1 of a duology, of his Athens duology. And then he's got 2 more books that the first one just came out. So it really makes a quartet, but they're really separated into duologies. So this is about the father of Pericles, Xanthippus, and his, rise to power. He fought at Marathon and was also part of the Greco-Persian War. He was one of the people who helped evacuate Athens when Xerxes' army came a-coming. And it's gonna have a lot of Themistocles. In fact, the second one is definitely gonna have Themistocles, because it's about Salamis and how the battle they should not have won. But Themistocles was brilliant and completely underrated. But this is about Xanthippus and his beef with Miltiades, the general who won at Marathon. This is the book that I want to read first of all the historical fiction stuff that I have, because I love this time period, and I really like Pericles, who is the star of that third book, or the first one in the second duology, or whatever. So I'm going to be reading this pretty soon. Next, we have Boosh, books 1, 2, and 3 of The Wars of Light and Shadow by Janny Wirtz. And these were so kindly sent to me by Dr. Philip Chase, Dr. Fantasy himself, in a moment of trying to make peace and extending the olive branch. He sent these to me before the world exploded into World War III and his minimalist factions overtook the world. This is a reminder of the friendship that he and I once shared. And that, were this a movie, when we finally reached our ultimate conflict, this would flash back in my head, reminding me that we were once allies. But he very kindly sent these to me because he has the hardbacks and he sent me these paperbacks, and I really wanted to read these along with them, but you guys have known my burnout. I just burned out, and it's huge. It's like 900 pages or 800 pages. And I've also heard it's dense. I really wanted to read these because they are based on a historical war and conflict, and I love crap that's based on historical stuff. Like, I like it. But it's 11 books, and I just don't have it in me to read 11 books, one a month. Like, I can't. Like, I just can't. But these are still definitely very high on my read list, so I am hoping to get this, and then I can belatedly join the discussion after all the discussions have been had. So, thank you so much, Professor Chase. Next, we got Boosh Organomics by J. Zachary Pike, and this is like a fantasy parody satire thing, kind of in the vein of Pratchett, where it talks about economics in like an RPG world and how that works. And this was a finalist or a winner of SPIFFO one year, and my buddy Gregory loves this book. Pete loves this book. A lot of people love this book, and this was very kindly sent to me by Josephine, who is amazing. And like, I really want to read this. This is self-published, and I don't know anybody who doesn't like this that has read it. And I like fantasy humor, especially if it's actually funny and not just trying to be funny, which people tell me, and then it's smart and clever. So I definitely want to read this. Thank you so much. Hopefully I'll be able to get to this relatively soon, because it is less than 300 pages, which is always fantastic. Next is Boosh to Ride Hell's Chasm by Janny Wirtz. This is a standalone that Joanna has said is fantastic. Philip has said it's fantastic. Everybody's read this, says it's fantastic, and I wish I could read this as well, but it is over 600 pages. But I did get this at ICFA when I met AP and Stephen Erickson, and got to hang out with Joanna and Philip and Jimmy all in person. So that was a lot of fun. So this also has some nostalgia along with it in the little bookstore that was at the conference. So I might read this first to dip my toes into Janny Wirtz before I launch in the series, but who knows? But I've heard fantastic things about this one. Next, we have Boosh, Orb, Scepter, Throne, Blood and Bone, and A Sail by Ian Esselmont. So, Orb, Scepter, Throne was sent to me by Monica. Thank you so much. And these other two they're hardbacks that were really cheap at that same conference, at ICFA. And this completes my collection of the Ian Esselmont novels of the Malazan Empire. Now, you guys know I was not the biggest fan of Return of the Crimson Guard, which is what has stalled my continuing the Malazan journey there. But I do have Stonewielder on deck, and I do want to read that. And when I do, I'll continue with these, because I will read these eventually, because I do like Malazan and want to have all that extra lore. So thank you so much, Monica. And I don't love hardbacks, but when they're a good deal and they look nice, and otherwise, I like hardbacks just as much as these huge paperbacks, so that's fine if there's no MMPBs to be had. My Return of the Crimson Guard is an MMPB, which is my preferred method of reading. But I'll get to these at some point in the future. And now, finally, the last two is my tactical nuke strike back at the vile minions who would do me harm. This is Boosh, Proven Guilty and Deadbeat, which I think is books 7 and 8 of the Dresden Files. And so, my evil plan is that I am going to continue acquiring Dresden books and showing them off, and continually not reading them, just to stoke the ire of Colton, who continues to brutally and cruelly read books that he knows I would enjoy without me, and then telling me how good they were in the aftermath. So until he stops his evil ways and stops dragging my erstwhile ally, Sarah, into it, I will continue to not read Dresden and not continue on my Dresden journey. So stay tuned for the next book haul, where I show off more Dresden books and don't read them. Do you hear that, Minimalist Faction? I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. So as always, guys, that's it for me for today. Hopefully I will not be captured by the next time I have to do one of these. If you see any of these that you like and that you think will bestow upon me the knowledge needed to overturn the system that is currently in place and take control for myself and my allies, please let me know down in the comments. As always, guys, information about my Patreon and Discord is down in the description, and I'll see you next time, guys.